You click Buy, the balance appears, and your brain relaxes a little. It looks finished, like the system did its job. And for most people, that's the moment they assume the question is answered. Crypto is confusing for a simple reason. It often looks like a normal financial app, but it behaves like a different kind of system underneath. If you've ever used a bank app, a stock app, or a payment app, the interface trains you to believe one thing. If the number is there, you own it. That assumption isn't careless, it's learned. It's what most modern systems have taught us to expect. The problem is that crypto ownership is not determined by what a screen says. It's determined by what the underlying record recognizes and who can authorize changes to that record. So this video isn't about which platform to use or what you should do next. It's about what an exchange balance usually represents, why it can be different from direct control, and how to think about safety in a way that reduces confusion instead of adding more. A simple way to frame this is to separate two layers that often get blended together. There's the shared record, and there's the app you're using to interact with it. The shared record is what a blockchain is for. It keeps track of which amounts belong to which addresses, and it updates when valid instructions are recorded. An exchange is not that shared record. An exchange is a company running systems that let people buy, sell, and hold crypto through an account. The exchange may interact with blockchains, but your account itself is not the blockchain. It's more like an interface, plus an internal ledger that tracks what the company says you're entitled to. This is why two things can both be true at the same time. Your app can show a balance, and the blockchain can still have no idea who you are. The blockchain does not recognize usernames or customer profiles. It recognizes addresses and valid authorizations. That difference matters because when people ask, "Is my crypto safe on an exchange?" they often mean, "Is this number real?" But the deeper question is, where does control live, and what has to happen for me to turn this balance into an on-chain asset I control directly? When you buy crypto on an exchange, a few different things could be happening behind the scenes, depending on the platform's design. Some exchanges may acquire crypto and hold it in wallets they control, while updating your account to show your portion. Some may net customer activity internally and only move assets on-chain when needed. Some may use third parties for custody. The details vary, and they usually live in terms of service and custody disclosures. But at a high level, the consistent idea is this. Your exchange account balance is usually a record inside the company's system that says you have a claim to a certain amount. That can be a perfectly legitimate arrangement. It can also feel identical to direct ownership, even when it isn't. This is where language can get slippery because ownership can mean different things in different contexts. In everyday life, ownership often comes with built-in helpers, password resets, disputes, customer support, reversals. Those features can be valuable, but they also mean your relationship is mediated by an institution. On many exchanges, the crypto is held in custody by the platform or its custodian. Your access to it depends on the platform's rules, its operational readiness, and the conditions it places on withdrawals and transfers. That is not automatically bad. It's simply a different kind of holding than controlling the private keys yourself. If you're wondering why this distinction isn't obvious, it helps to notice what your brain is reacting to. The screen looks familiar. There's a balance. There's a history tab. There are buttons that say send and receive. And because the interface resembles other financial apps, it quietly imports the same expectations. The system underneath doesn't run on expectations. It runs on authorization. On a blockchain, the thing that matters is whether a valid instruction can be signed to move assets from an address. That's why people say control is the core concept in crypto. It's not about who feels like the owner. It's about who can actually authorize movement. Exchanges are designed to remove friction. They simplify onboarding. They abstract away addresses. They handle a lot of complexity for you. That convenience is real, and many people choose it for good reasons. But convenience can also hide where the edges of the system are. When everything is working, those edges don't matter. When something is delayed, restricted, or disputed, the question becomes clearer. Not, do I have a balance, but what am I allowed to do with it right now, and who decides? This is where the word custody comes in. Custody simply means who holds the keys that can authorize movement. In crypto, that's a technical question with real-world consequences. If a platform holds the keys, then the platform can move assets, and the platform can also impose rules about when you can move them. If you hold the keys yourself, you can authorize movement directly on the network, but you also take on the responsibility of keeping those keys safe. That trade-off is part of what makes crypto feel different from traditional financial systems. It shifts responsibility away from institutions and closer to the individual. Regulators and investor education resources often frame this in practical terms. Understand who the custodian is. Understand what protections exist. Understand fees and transfer restrictions. And understand what your access depends on. Those are not crypto opinions. They're the basic questions you'd ask anytime a third party holds assets on your behalf. And here's the calm point that matters for this video. Safe is not a single switch. Safety in a custodial setup is a combination of the platform's controls, the platform's policies, and your own account security habits. It's also influenced by things like outages, operational incidents, and how disputes are handled, because your access runs through the platform. Most people don't lose crypto because of movie-style hacking scenes. More often, they run into ordinary problems that feel surprising because the mental model was off. One category is operational. Platforms can go down, withdrawals can be delayed, networks can be congested, support queues can be slow. None of this means a platform is evil. It means you are interacting with both a technical network and a business, and both can have bottlenecks. Another category is policy. If your access depends on account rules, those rules matter. Identity checks, withdrawal limits, review processes, and regional restrictions can all affect what you can do and when you can do it. Again, that may be appropriate in certain regulated settings. The point is simply that it exists, and it's part of what custody means in practice. A third category is counterparty risk, which is a plain English way of saying you are trusting a company to do what it says, to maintain controls, and to remain capable of honoring customer entitlements. In traditional finance, the same idea exists whenever you deposit money or hold assets through an intermediary. The difference in crypto is that many people don't realize they are in that kind of relationship because the interface feels like direct ownership. None of these points are meant to pressure you into any specific choice. They are meant to make the choice legible, because when a system is legible, you can be calmer inside it. You can understand what depends on you, what depends on the network, and what depends on the platform. So, what does it mean to ask whether your crypto is safe on an exchange? A calmer version of the question is, what kind of holding is this, and what does my access depend on? If your crypto is held in custody by a platform, then part of your safety comes from the platform's custody practices, operational controls, and account security. That is why investor guidance often emphasizes basic steps like strong authentication and being cautious with access, because account compromise can look like authorization in systems built around credentials. At the same time, it's worth holding one simple contrast in your head. A balance on a screen is a statement made by a system. Direct control is an ability you can exercise on a network. Those two can overlap, and they can also diverge. When you understand that, a lot of confusion gets quieter. If a withdrawal is delayed, you don't have to invent wild explanations. You can ask, is this a network issue or a platform process? If you're deciding where to hold assets, you can separate convenience from control without turning it into a moral argument. Clarity doesn't force a choice. It simply replaces the feeling of certainty with a more accurate picture of what's happening. If you take one thing from this video, let it be this. In crypto, ownership is not primarily a feeling created by an interface. It's the relationship between a record and an authorization. An exchange can be a useful on-ramp. It can make things easier. It can also make it easy to forget what layer you're operating on. Your exchange balance may represent a legitimate claim, but it is still mediated by rules and systems outside the blockchain itself. When you replace "I see it, so I own it" with "where does control live and what does my access depend on," you don't become paranoid. You become calmer. You stop needing hype to feel confident, and you stop needing fear to feel cautious. That's the goal here, not conviction, clarity before money is at risk. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Everything on this channel is about understanding how crypto actually works, not price predictions or hype, but the systems, rules, and shared records that make crypto function under the hood. When you understand how the crypto system is built, it becomes much easier to judge the claims, headlines, and narratives around it. That foundation is what we'll keep building in the next video. This content is for education only, not investment advice. And thanks for watching.